Babes, somewhere right now, someone is starting a completely unnecessary argument in the group chat. Someone is pretending they're, like, completely unbothered while vibrating with rage, and someone is absolutely lying straight to their therapist.
Absolute lying, like full-on deception.
Literally. So naturally, welcome to the Valley.
Babes, welcome back. We love you, we see you, and babes, we are so happy to have you here for this deep dive.
We really are. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, because we have so much to unpack today. And before we even get into the absolute, like, chaotic meltdown that was this week's television, we have to do our signature cocktail check-in.
Yes, everyone needs to take notes right now.
Exactly, because the drink of the week is on deck for the Snark squad, and I'm telling you, it officially screams summer. We are drinking mango orange vodka spiked lemonades.
I am literally holding mine right now.
Yeah.
The condensation is dripping down the glass, and I mean, from a purely sensory perspective, this is officially the drink of the era.
It is the defining beverage. I mean, I know you and we were fiercely loyal to the frozen peach Bellini for, like, months.
We had a really great run with the Bellini.
We did. We did. It served us well during those weird transition months of spring. But let's be real about the friction involved there. Making a frozen Bellini requires, pulling out the blender.
Ugh, the blender.
Right. Making sure the ice to liquid ratio is perfectly balanced so it doesn't turn into this, like, watery soup.
And honestly, the sheer auditory assault of a blender just completely disrupts the peace of a summer evening.
It sounds like a jet engine in the kitchen.
It does. Not to mention, the Bellini can be incredibly heavy. Like, you get that glycemic load of a frozen peach puree hitting your bloodstream, and suddenly you just need a nap.
Totally. But this mango orange vodka spiked lemonade, it is dangerous polite.
Dangerously. We actually need to issue a formal warning to you right now.
Yes, Snark Squad, listen up.
This drink is incredibly deceptive because it tastes exactly like juice. I mean, there's almost zero ethanol burn.
Literally zero. I am a testament to that because yesterday I made just a little tester, to make sure the recipe was perfected.
Oh, naturally. Just a tester.
Right, for science. And suddenly I was, like, reorganizing my entire spice rack by alphabetical order and color gradient. It completely sneaks up on you.
It's the sugar and the citrus. It masks everything.
But there is a reason every summer demands one signature cocktail to define the era. It's rooted in that sensory memory. You need that one specific flavor profile where years from now, you taste it and your brain immediately transports you back to this exact summer.
It's the ultimate time capsule. Like, the sweet tropical notes of the mango hit your palate first, and then the citric acid from the orange and lemon just zaps your taste buds. It's crisp, and the vodka is completely incognito.
Completely. So cheers to you, babes.
Cheers.
Okay, we really have to transition to the dentist diaries because the midweek chaos of working as healthcare professionals at two different clinics is genuinely pushing me to the absolute brink.
I need to know everything. Please tell me your lows first, because I literally need to recalibrate my own sanity by hearing about your chaotic existence.
Oh, I have a low for you. Picture this. I am in the middle of a rather delicate restorative procedure.
Okay, setting the scene.
Yeah, I've got the dental dam in place. I've got my magnification loops on. The overhead light is, like, perfectly positioned. I am completely in the flow state.
The zone.
Exactly. My assistant is right there, anticipating my every move, handing me instruments like we're performing a symphony. And the patient is locally anesthetized, totally relaxed.
Maybe a little too relaxed.
Way too relaxed, because suddenly, right as I am about to place this gorgeous, meticulously shade-matched composite resin, the patient falls asleep.
You are joking. Like a deep sleep.
Oh, not just a gentle, peaceful slumber. I'm talking a full-blown, mouth wide open, aggressive, apneic snore, like a literal chainsaw revving up in a cave.
Oh my God. The sheer physics of that, the vibration.
Yes, the structural vibration. I am holding a microscopic instrument, trying to do millimeter-perfect work, and their entire mandible is vibrating with this rhythmic, guttural snoring.
I'm sweating just thinking about it. What do you even do?
My assistant and I literally just locked eyes over our masks in sheer panic. Like, what is the protocol here? Do you wake them up? Do you try to time your micro-movement to the rhythm of the snores?
Like a video game obstacle.
It really was. I literally had to just pause, stand there with my hands hovering in the air, and wait for their respiratory cycle to shift. I eventually had to gently tap their shoulder and be like, hey there, you're doing great. Let's just keep those eyes open for me.
That is actually a fascinating physiological response, though.
Is it? Because I was just stressed.
No, think about it. The level of baseline exhaustion someone has to have to allow their parasympathetic nervous system to completely override the sheer sensory nightmare of a dental chair is astounding.
I guess that's true.
With a mouth cranked open and drills buzzing, their brains still signaled that it was a safe place to enter REM sleep. Honestly, it's a compliment. They clearly feel incredibly safe with you.
Well, I suppose I'll take that as a silver lining, even though my heart rate spiked to about 150. But what was your week like? Please tell me you had a high or at least a chaotic moment that tops my snoring lumberjack.
My chaotic moment is a literal public health PSA wrapped in a biochemical nightmare.
Oh no, I'm scared.
So I have a young patient come in, mid-20s, very trendy, clearly lives entirely in the digital ecosystem.
Right.
They sit down in the chair, and I kid you not, their teeth look like they have been sanded with industrial grit and painted with chalk.
Oh my God, sanded.
Yes. I am looking at the enamel, and it is completely porous, totally denatured, and structurally destroyed.
I already know exactly where this is going. Was it a TikTok hack?
It was a TikTok DIY teeth whitening hack that went disastrously, catastrophically wrong.
What were they using? People do insane things. Was it like concentrated lemon juice mixed with activated charcoal?
Nope.
Hydrogen peroxide straight from the brown bottle?
Worse. Much worse. They saw a video of an influencer, a literal random person with a ring light and zero biological background, claiming that you can instantly whiten your teeth by scrubbing them with a Mr. Clean Magic eraser.
I am physically putting my drink down. A magic eraser. Wait, let's unpack this for a second because people hear eraser and they just think it's a soft sponge.
Exactly. It looks harmless.
But what is actually happening at a microscopic level when someone does that?
Okay, so a magic eraser is made of melamine foam. At a microscopic level, melamine foam is a formaldehyde melamine sodium bisulfite copolymer.
We'll say that 5 times fast.
Right. When it cures, it forms this incredibly hard, glass-like microstructure. It essentially acts like 3,000 grit sandpaper.
Oh, that makes my teeth ache just hearing it.
When you rub that on your teeth, you aren't just removing stains, you are physically abrading away the hydroxyapatite crystals that make up your enamel.
And enamel does not grow back. Once you strip that protective layer, you're exposing the dentin underneath.
Precisely. They strip the entire protective layer of their teeth, trying to get a Hollywood smile for pennies. And the absolute tragedy is, dentin is naturally yellow.
Right, so it backfires entirely.
Yes. So by scrubbing off the white enamel, they actually made their teeth look worse in the long run. But the most immediate issue was the pain. They came to me wondering why their teeth were suddenly so hypersensitive to cold air that they couldn't even breathe through their mouth without wincing.
Well, that makes total sense based on the hydrodynamic theory of tooth sensitivity.
Exactly.
Because once that enamel is gone, the microscopic tubules in the dentin are just fully exposed to the oral environment. Those tubules are filled with fluid, and when cold air hits them, the fluid shifts, which pulls directly on the nerve endings inside the tooth.
Yep. It's excruciating.
That requires serious professional intervention, like intense fluoride varnishes to try and remineralize the surface, desensitizing agents to plug those tubules.
We had to do all of that, maybe even full coverage crowns or veneers if the structural damage is deep enough. I had to sit there, look this sweet, misguided person in the eye, and explain the mechanics of what they had just done.
That is heartbreaking, honestly.
I had to tell them they essentially took a microscopic sandblaster to their dentin. The spread of health misinformation on platforms like TikTok is a genuine menace. It took everything in me not to just start spiraling right there in the operatory.
Which is exactly why the second our clinics closed, we had to immediately escape. We needed a massive psychological vibe shift.
Desperately.
And that is why we hit up this incredible Venezuelan restaurant right after work. And you guys, it genuinely recalibrated my entire nervous system.
It was a deeply therapeutic experience. The second we walked through the door, the atmosphere just completely enveloped us.
It really did. The lighting was low and warm, and they had this upbeat, rhythmic music playing.
Yes, an incredible mix of salsa and reggaeton. It wasn't overly aggressive, just energetic enough to disrupt the clinical mindset of the workday.
Exactly. And the service was impeccable. But the food, we have to talk about the culinary architecture of what we actually ate.
Oh my God, the food.
Because if you are listening to this and you have not tried Venezuelan food, you need to make it a priority. The flavor profiles are a study in perfect balance.
We ordered massive arepas. And for those who might not be familiar, an arepa is this incredibly delicious, crispy on the outside, soft on the inside cornmeal cake.
So good.
It's split open and stuffed to the absolute structural limit.
Yeah.
I got the Reina Pepiata, which is this unbelievable chicken and avocado salad filling.
I was drooling looking at yours.
The creaminess of the avocado mixed with the savory chicken against the crunch of the toasted cornmeal. It was just perfect.
It looked flawless. And I got the peblon arepa, which is essentially the national dish of Venezuela inside a corn cake. It's got shredded beef, black beans, sweet plantains, and salty white cheese.
The contrast in that dish is crazy.
It's a masterpiece. You have the deep caramelized sweetness of the plantains cutting right through the savory, rich beef and the sharp saltiness of the cheese. But honestly, the star of the show, the absolute peak of the culinary experience, were the tequeños.
The tequeños are dangerous, like actually a hazard to my self-control.
Perfectly fried, golden brown spears of slightly sweet dough wrapped around this firm, squeaky, salty white cheese. And then you dip it in guasacaca, which is this bright, acidic green garlic and cilantro sauce.
Oh, the guasacaca is everything.
The Maillard reaction on the dough combined with the acid of the sauce, it literally stops time.
It does, but honestly, the most fascinating part of the entire dinner, the absolute peak of the evening from a cognitive standpoint, was not even the food.
Oh, no.
Is the Italian incident.
I am going to expose you right now. I have to paint the picture for you, babes. We are sitting there, vibing to the music, taking in the incredible aromas of the Venezuelan kitchen, and the waiter comes over to take our order.
I am sweating again.
And with absolute, unwavering confidence, my brilliant colleague looks this Venezuelan waiter dead in the eye and starts ordering in fluent Italian.
Okay, I need to defend my neurological misfire. I need to explain the cognitive short-circuiting of my brain.
You literally look at him and confidently stated, Buonasera, vorrei ordinare due arepas, per favore, e un po' di formaggio.
I was so confident.
The waiter just blinked. I just blinked. It took you a full 5 seconds of staring at our blank faces to realize what had just happened.
Listen, my brain experienced what linguists literally call lexical interference.
Yeah.
We have been taking these intensive weekly Italian classes, and I have been practicing relentlessly.
Giovanni would be unbelievably proud, I will say that.
Right. My brain has been actively rewiring itself to retrieve Italian vocabulary. So when I was placed in a non-English environment, a restaurant with Spanish music and a Spanish-speaking waiter, my brain registered foreign language context activated.
But it grabbed the wrong file folder.
Exactly. Instead of retrieving the Spanish I know, the dominant, newly formed neural pathways for Italian just hijacked the process and dumped my entire Italian vocabulary onto the table.
I mean, the pronunciation was flawless. I will give you that. The rolling of the R in Vorrei was spectacular. But, Biggs, we were in a Venezuelan restaurant in our home city.
The panic that set in when I realized the waiter's confused expression was not because he couldn't hear me, but because I was speaking the wrong Romance language. It's actually a documented phenomenon.
Is it really?
Yes. It's called foreign language syndrome, where your brain suppresses your native language to speak a second one, but grabs the third language by mistake. Am I officially becoming bilingual? Or am I just experiencing complete cognitive overload and confusing every language I know?
You are definitely creating a brand new, highly confusing dialect. It was a massive word salad. But we recovered gracefully, we ate our body weight in cheese and plantains, and I think we really do have to acknowledge the absolute miracle that occurred right before that dinner.
Oh, the gym.
The fact that we convinced ourselves to go to the gym right after work before hitting the restaurant.
That is a feat of sheer willpower that defies the laws of behavioral economics.
It really is.
Leaving the clinic when your cognitive load is maxed out and your physical energy is completely depleted, and driving to a high-exertion environment instead of the couch? Miraculous.
But the transition is always the hardest part. Getting out of the car and walking into the gym is an exercise in overcoming, activation energy.
The parking lot paralysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
You sit in the parking lot, staring at the steering wheel, negotiating with your own brain chemistry. Maybe I'll just do 15 minutes of zone 2 cardio. Maybe I'll just stretch.
Maybe I'll just look at the weights.
Your brain wants to conserve energy, and you have to practically trick your central nervous system into walking through those sliding doors.
But the sheer neurochemical reward of finishing a workout, the sudden flood of endorphins and dopamine, does make it worth it. Even though we fully acknowledge that the workout was purely a transactional prerequisite to justify the massive caloric intake of the Venezuelan feast we were about to consume.
100% transactional. If I didn't lift that weight, I couldn't eat that tequeño. But the gym personalities were out in full force that night. It was like observing behavioral archetypes in the wild.
It is the ultimate sociological petri dish. First of all, we had the grunt and drop weightlifter.
Oh, the worst.
You know exactly the archetype.
Hmm.
The guy doing bicep curls with weights that far exceed his actual muscular capacity, utilizing terrible momentum-based form.
Just swinging his whole back into it.
Exactly. Vocalizing like a silverback gorilla claiming territory, and then intentionally dropping the dumbbells from shoulder height so the kinetic energy shakes the entire foundation of the building.
Pure performative masculinity. Like, we get it, you lift. Then, literally 3 feet away, we had the tripod filming influencer.
The entire broadcast setup.
Yes. Ring light. Multiple camera angles, executing the exact same glute bridge for 20 minutes to capture the perfect aesthetic for the algorithm, completely oblivious to the spatial awareness that she was blocking the only water fountain in the facility.
And my personal favorite demographic?
Yeah.
The person who utilizes complex hydraulic machinery as an expensive lounge chair.
Yes.
Sitting on the leg press machine for 30 minutes.
Mm.
Zero concentric or eccentric movement, just completely paralyzed by the dopamine scroll on TikTok.
Which, funny enough, perfectly transitions into exposing what you did after dinner.
Oh no, we're going there.
You think you're safe because we unpacked the Italian incident, but we need to talk about the digital rabbit hole you fell into.
I am being attacked on my own show.
After we left the restaurant, we got back to my place, sat on the couch, and my esteemed co-host fell into a completely random, massive 3-hour TikTok spiral about homeowner association drama.
It is genuinely the most compelling psychological content on the internet.
3 hours of sheer, petty suburban warfare.
You start with one innocent video about a property line dispute, and suddenly the algorithm recognizes your engagement and traps you in the trenches of micro-dictatorships.
You were showing me videos of literal grown adults, HOA board members, walking onto people's lawns with rigid school rulers to measure the length of the grass blades.
It's unhinged.
Issuing $50 citations because the fescue was 3.5 inches instead of the mandated 3 inches. It is fascinating to watch what happens to the human ego when it is given a microscopic sliver of unregulated authority.
It's literally the Stanford prison experiment applied to cul-de-sacs. The power tripping is unbelievable. There was an entire 10-part saga about a woman who painted her house the wrong shade of beige.
Oh my God, the beige saga.
She painted it Navajo white instead of the approved Swiss coffee, and the HOA took her to civil court. And her petty revenge plot. Because she couldn't afford to repaint and the bylaws didn't explicitly ban lawn ornaments, she bought 80 neon pink plastic lawn flamingos and epoxy glued them to her roof.
I mean, I have to respect the level of petty. It is incredible how infinite scrolling exploits our brain's novelty-seeking mechanisms, turning 3 hours of our lives into what feels like 5 minutes.
We were deeply invested in the Flamingo Wars. We were ready to analyze the municipal zoning ordinances. How does this app do this to us?
I don't know, but it really highlights how deeply we are drawn to conflict, especially when it involves the policing of other people's behavior.
Which is the perfect thematic transition.
But babes, enough about our chaos. Let's get into theirs. Because if we are fascinated by the petty surveillance of suburban homeowners, we have to look at the ultimate surveillance state, reality television.
We really do.
Let's get into the core of our deep dive. We are looking at The Valley, Season 3, Episode 13, titled Liked and Loaded.
It was an absolute masterclass in psychological projection and shifting alliances. We just have to establish the baseline right now, because there was a massive atmospheric shift right from the start of the episode.
Oh, immediately.
The cast is in Mexico for Schwartz's birthday trip, dubbed Schwartzapalooza. And immediately, the misery is palpable. It is supposed to be a celebration, but the underlying tension is suffocating.
We first have to look at the wardrobe choices, because in reality TV, clothing is never just clothing. It is a signaling mechanism. And I am convinced none of these men understood the assignment.
They were all dressing for completely different events.
Oh.
Jesse, looking like Tom Hanks in Castaway, is the most accurate description I can think of.
I swear I thought he was going to start painting a face on a volleyball.
Honestly, the sheer distressed linen, the tattered edges, the unbuttoned, chest-bearing chaos, it was a complete shipwreck aesthetic. He was signaling this sort of untethered, post-divorce freedom, but it came off incredibly chaotic.
And then there's Schwartz, the birthday boy, wearing a bizarre crocheted doily top, like a literal grandma's table runner repurposed into a garment.
It was so weird.
It paired so strangely with his overall aura of distress.
But Danny's outfit is the most psychologically telling.
Oh, always.
Danny's wearing gear that makes him look like an Orlando dad trying to find the fast pass lane at a Disney theme park. While everyone else is trying to project this sparkly, hyper-curated, festival-ready image, Danny is desperately clinging to his innocent family man aesthetic.
He dresses like someone who couldn't possibly be involved in Machiavellian plotting, which is a brilliant, albeit totally transparent, camouflage.
Meanwhile, Schwartz is utterly miserable on his own birthday trip. He is pacing around whining, "You all are ruining my birthday, and no one even bought me a damn cake."
He is literally throwing a tantrum over baked goods while the entire social fabric of his friend group is imploding around him.
Schwartz is the absolute king of toxic positivity and conflict avoidance. He wants to take shots of funky fermented agave out of unmarked plastic jugs and pretend the house isn't on fire.
But you cannot avoid the reckoning when the group decides to convene the social media court of justice right there in the girls' suite.
The suite confrontation is reality TV gold, mostly because of how meta it is. They aren't fighting about an action that happened in the physical world. They are fighting about digital footprints.
Exactly. And Lala completely instigates the entire thing. She plays the role of the producer perfectly. She sits down and casually lobs a grenade at Danny, asking if he's ever going to move on from hating Janet.
And of course, Janet comes prepared with printed receipts, the surveillance state in full effect. She accuses Danny of liking an Instagram comment that called Jason, her husband, a cuck with brown left on the corner of his lips from licking Jax's asshole.
It is a vividly disgusting insult, highlighting the sheer poetry of reality TV fandoms. But we need to analyze Danny's defense mechanism here, because his defense is a textbook example of weaponized incompetence.
Oh, textbook?
He sits there, a grown man, and claims he didn't know what he was doing. He literally says, "This is my first rodeo."
Let's define weaponized incompetence for the Snark Squad, because it's crucial here. It's a strategy where someone pretends they are incapable or ignorant to avoid accountability or to shift the burden of labor onto someone else.
Usually we see this when a guy pretends he doesn't know how to load a dishwasher.
Exactly. We see it in domestic dynamics all the time. But Danny is applying it to public relations. This is his third season on reality TV. He lives in Los Angeles. He understands perfectly well how the algorithm and the like button work.
Now, I have to push back just a little bit here, just to play devil's advocate. Is there any world where a guy like Danny, who genuinely seems overwhelmed by the speed at which this group operates, actually just mindlessly double-tapped a comment without reading the entire paragraph?
You're being too generous.
I know, but we all doom scroll. Sometimes our thumbs move faster than our prefrontal cortex. Could it be genuine incompetence rather than weaponized incompetence?
I would buy that if it were an isolated incident. But look at his behavioral consistency. When confronted, his immediate default is always to play the naive victim. You don't accidentally endorse a deeply specific, highly graphic paragraph about your castmates.
That's true.
You have to stop scrolling, read the venom, process it, and make a conscious choice to validate it. He knew exactly what he was doing, but he uses this "aw shucks, I'm just a simple guy" persona as a shield, so people don't look closer at his malice.
Well, the internet certainly sees through it. The fandom is heavily analyzing this on Reddit. And to be clear, we are neutrally reporting on the sociological phenomenon of how the audience reacts here. We aren't endorsing any specific political or social agenda.
Right, just observing the fan reaction.
Exactly. Fans are calling Danny out for being way more focused on his good guy portrayal than actually being a good guy. And there are corners of the internet labeling him a fake Christian who is pushing specific agendas while simultaneously engaging in highly passive-aggressive, shady behavior in the digital shadows.
People are definitely spiraling over it. And Kristen, in a rare moment of absolute, undeniable clarity, cuts through the noise of the suite and says, he likes social media posts. Who cares?
I actually cheered when she said that.
And from a purely logical standpoint, she's right. It's a binary input on a server. Why is this becoming a federal case when there are actual real-world betrayals happening in this group?
Because in this ecosystem, digital endorsement is social currency. But the tension boils over and we get the Zach meltdown.
Oh, Zach losing his absolute mind.
He starts screaming that nobody ever resolves anything, that the group is fucked because everyone is terrified of honesty.
Zach's drunken rant is essentially meta-commentary on the entire reality show structure. He broke the fourth wall without explicitly breaking it.
He was acting as the voice of the audience, screaming, "Why are we having the exact same circular argument for 2 seasons without actually finding a resolution?"
It was incredible television, but the collateral damage was intense. He and Jasmine get into this massive screaming match. He yells, "Sit the fuck down," at her, and she immediately hits him with the double middle fingers.
Iconic.
Jasmine is furious, and you have to look at the psychology of her reaction. She feels that Zach has blind loyalty to a man, Danny, who continuously lies to him.
Yes. She is reacting to the cognitive dissonance of seeing her friend blindly defend an indefensible person.
The shifting loyalties in this group require an understanding of game theory. To avoid being the target, cast members constantly have to calculate who to align with and who to throw under the bus preemptively, which is exactly what Danny does next.
Yo, the pivot was insane. He immediately pivots from defending his Instagram likes to confronting Brittany.
The visual of this scene is high camp. Brittany is wearing a bright yellow teddy bear nightie during this intense confrontation.
It's so good. And Danny claims he liked those hate comments because Jesse and Jax told him that Brittany was the one behind the original smear campaign against him and Nia.
And Jesse just jumps right in to enforce the new alliance. He tells Brittany, "Don't call me a motherfucker. Do you want me to start on you?" And declares her guilty by association simply because she was married to Jax at the time.
Okay, let's analyze this. Jax Taylor is a man with a well-documented, decade-long history of pathological lying. Is it completely irrational to believe Jax over Brittany? Or is there a world where Brittany was actually complicit, acting as the silent architect of the rumors?
Jax definitely lies when the truth sounds better. But Brittany is highly intelligent in how she maneuvers. She plays the sweet, innocent Southern belle card brilliantly, but she has survived in this cutthroat environment for a long time.
She knows how to play the game.
I don't think she orchestrated a mastermind takedown, but it is highly probable that she sat back and allowed Jax to do the dirty work while feigning ignorance. In Bravo land, guilty by association holds weight because passive complicity is just as dangerous as active sabotage.
I think Danny is just grasping at straws. He desperately needs a scapegoat to deflect from his own bad behavior. Which brings us to the morning after.
The hangovers.
The visual storytelling of the hangover scene is spectacular. You have Zach and Benji eating room temperature leftover pizza in matching Calvin Klein's, and Michelle trying to cure a severe tequila hangover by aggressively jumping rope.
The physiology of jumping rope after drinking fermented agave is baffling. Like insane behavior. The sheer impact force on a dehydrated brain.
Yeah.
But it's a great metaphor for the cast, constantly expending massive energy while staying in the exact same place.
Exactly. And then we move to the poolside beach chats. Lala approaches Danny and Luke, who is inexplicably fishing at a resort.
Just casually casting a line while lives fall apart.
And Danny sits there and makes a profound claim. He states that he has literal PTSD and trauma from the character defamation Janet caused.
This is a textbook example of concept creep.
Unpack that.
Concept creep is what happens when clinical psychological terminology like trauma, PTSD, gaslighting, or narcissism is co-opted by the general public and its definition is stretched to include normal, albeit uncomfortable, human experiences.
Right.
Can you claim clinical trauma for a situation that your own deceptive actions created? He hid his drinking. He lied to his friends. The rumor mill spun out of control because he was operating in secrecy.
To weaponize serious diagnostic language because people called you out on your own lies is a massive red flag. It minimizes actual trauma. It's a defensive shield because society dictates that you cannot attack a victim of trauma.
But Zach finally confronts him by the pool. He asks Danny point blank about catching him pouring alcohol at the housewarming party. And Danny apologizes again, but in the exact same breath, he lies again about having a White Claw.
And the editors immediately cut to archival footage of him holding the White Claw. I love Bravo editors.
They are ruthless.
The issue isn't the substance. If Danny wants to drink a seltzer, drink a seltzer. The issue is the pathology of the lying. Why does a grown adult regress to high school level deception when placed under group surveillance?
Because the group acts as an absolute moral authority. In highly enmeshed social groups, any deviation from the stated rules is punished with exile. Danny knows his brand is sober, perfect husband. If that brand fractures, his value in the ecosystem drops.
So he just lies to maintain it.
So he lies to maintain the structural integrity of his persona, even when the lie is blatantly obvious.
Which leads us to the cursed van ride to Sayulita. Reality TV rule number 1. If you place a sleep-deprived, hungover, anxious cast into a confined, moving space like a Sprinter van, the pressure cooker will inevitably explode.
Jesse casually brings up the sexual assault rumor from last season, and Janet, looking incredibly smug, literally says, "You're welcome," for making Nia and Danny a headline.
Nia finally snaps. She calls Janet's apology complete bullshit, and honestly, she is completely validated in that moment. And then at the restaurant, Kristen, with her chaotic, blind loyalty, tries to deflect the heat entirely off Danny by suddenly states that Brittany, Jasmine, and Zach are the real ones who need to stop drinking.
Classic Darby technique. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Kristen attacks their drinking to shift the spotlight.
And Janet, feeling the heat finally turning towards her, violently texts the group from under the table while they're all sitting right there, starts crying about being gaslit, and flees the table to call Jason.
It is a masterpiece of sociological mess. Which brings us perfectly into segment 1. Shady, snarky, or stupid. We're going to isolate 3 specific moments from this episode and debate which category they belong to based on their underlying intent.
Let's do it. Break them down.
Okay, moment number 1. Danny claiming he doesn't understand how the Instagram like button works and acting like a passive victim of the algorithm. Is this stupid or secretly shady manipulation?
This is 100% shady manipulation. As we discussed with weaponized incompetence, it requires active cognitive effort to play dumb effectively. He wants the group to view him as a technologically illiterate innocent. But navigating to a specific comment thread, reading a multi-sentence insult, and double tapping requires intentional motor function. He knew what he was endorsing. He's playing stupid to avoid the consequences of his shade.
See, I agree that the outcome is shady, but I'll play devil's advocate. What if he really is just that dense?
Really?
Hear me out. What if he was aggressively scrolling, saw his name, and just blindly hit, like without reading the context? Sometimes stupidity is just stupidity, not a grand conspiracy.
Stupidity is a singular event. Repeated stupidity that perfectly aligns with one's secret resentments is a strategy.
Fair point. Okay, moment number 2. Lala bringing up the social media likes perfectly on cue in the suite while utilizing a calm, therapeutic voice, pretending she just wants to facilitate resolution. Is this snarky producing or just shady instigation?
I'm classifying this as snarky producing. Lala has incredible situational awareness of the reality TV format. She recognized that the narrative momentum of the episode was stalling out.
True. Shores was literally complaining about pastries. The energy was dead.
Exactly. She didn't drop the bomb maliciously to destroy lives. She did it to create a narrative arc. That's a snarky, brilliant veteran move to secure her screen time.
See, I think it leans heavily into shady territory because of the delivery. If she just walked in and said, hey, let's talk about these likes, that's producing. But she masks it in this faux healer persona. Are we ever going to find healing?
She does love that word.
She doesn't want healing. She wants absolute carnage in that hotel suite. Pretending to be a peacekeeper while handing out live ammunition is deeply shady.
The disguise of the peacemaker definitely adds a layer of shade. I'll give you that. It's plausible deniability. Okay, moment number 3. Janet dramatically texting the poolside group from the lunch table to tell them Kristen and Nia are talking about them, then immediately crying and fleeing when confronted. Shady victim playing or snarky sabotage?
Shady victim playing. It is one of the most effective yet destructive social defense mechanisms. You cannot throw a rock, hide your hand, and then start weeping that someone else threw a rock.
Exactly.
She instigated the conflict via text message, literally feet away from the targets. And the exact second the kinetic energy shifted back towards her, she deployed tears and claimed she was being gaslit.
It is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. Tears immediately force the group to stop holding you accountable and shift into a comforting role. It hijacks the emotional frequency of the room. It's exhausting, it's shady, and honestly, it's a little stupid because the group is starting to build an immunity to it. They see the pattern now.
Exactly. The efficacy of that manipulation tactic decays every time you use it. Let's move into segment 2. Team Who. I want to analyze who you are structurally backing after this episode and who has completely lost your support based on their behavior.
Okay, I'm going to come out with a controversial stance. I am backing Michelle and Jesse.
The divorced couple. Explain that logic.
Look at their dynamic. They are a fascinating case study in how severing a toxic romantic bond can actually lighten a social dynamic. Now that they are divorced, they are functioning as the Greek chorus of the show.
That's actually so true.
Michelle telling Jesse he's broke, Jesse wearing his castaway outfit, Michelle jumping rope while hungover. They are completely disconnected from the dark, heavy toxicity of the Danny and Janet drama. They are providing pure, unadulterated lifestyle absurdity. I'm thoroughly backing their post-divorce energy.
That is a wild take, but analytically sound. They're no longer heavily invested in the group's central conflicts because their primary conflict, their marriage, is over. But who lost you?
Danny. 1,000,000 times over. The continuous lying is exhausting, but as we discussed, deploying clinical therapy words like PTSD and trauma to deflect accountability for his own deceit is where I draw the line.
Totally agree.
You cannot manufacture a crisis through your own actions, lie about your involvement to cover your tracks, and then claim psychological trauma when the group demands the truth. It is an offensive use of clinical language. Who are you backing?
I am backing Jasmine.
Unpack that for me. Why Jasmine?
Because from a sociological perspective, Jasmine has the most valid grievance. She was the original casualty of the rumor mill 2 years ago. She finally achieved equilibrium with Danny at the reunion, and now, not only is the drama resurrected, but her primary allies, Zach and Kristen, are aggressively defending the man who lied about her.
It's so frustrating to watch.
She is experiencing profound social abandonment. When she gave Zach the double middle fingers, it was the only rational response to an irrational situation.
Yeah.
She is the anchor of reality in a sea of delusion.
She is definitely the only one reacting normally. But who lost you?
Mia, and I know this is controversial, but Mia is entirely complicit. She is constantly trying to act as the PR manager for Danny's public image, soothing his ego and fighting his battles.
She really does.
She wants the perfect couple edit so desperately that she is willing to burn everyone else to maintain the illusion. At that lunch table, she was smug, she was defensive, and she was actively egging it on. She's not a victim of Danny's mess. She is his co-conspirator.
That is a phenomenal read. She is highly invested in the structural integrity of their brand. Which leads us perfectly into segment 3. Group chat after dark. We need to analyze the digital communication patterns of this cast.
Oh, this is my favorite game.
Imagine the private group chat the night they get back from Mexico. The cameras are down, the tequila has worn off, and the typing bubbles appear. Who sends the novels?
Danny, without a doubt. He is drafting 10-paragraph manifestos in the Notes app, obsessing over the syntax and pasting them into the chat at 8 a.m.
Oh, absolutely.
And somehow, through 50 sentences of therapeutic jargon and passive voice, he still manages to shift the blame to Janet. The message is peppered with praying hands and sparkle emojis to soften the lack of actual accountability.
I just want to walk in the light. My trauma was activated, but I love you all. Absolute deflection. Okay, who lurks? Who observes without participating?
Schwartz. He hasn't typed a single character. He has his read receipts permanently disabled. He is sitting on his couch, utilizing the group chat as an interactive television show, scrolling up and down, absorbing the data without leaving a trace.
He is the ultimate passive consumer of conflict. Speaking of data collection, who leaks the screenshots?
Janet. Janet is actively archiving the digital footprint. She is taking screenshots of Danny's novels and forwarding them to Lala on a side thread before Danny's typing bubble even disappears.
Before it disappears.
She probably has a secure, cloud-backed folder dedicated entirely to group chat discrepancies. She analyzes the timestamps, the punctuation changes, preparing her dossier for the reunion.
She is essentially running a counterintelligence operation. All right, who immediately initiates a secondary conflict?
Lala. She waits until there's a verified 4 hours of silence. The cortisol levels in the chat have finally dropped. And then, at exactly 1:43 a.m., she drops a casual, "So are we just going to ignore what Kristen said about Brittany's drinking?" And then she instantly activates Do Not Disturb mode and goes to sleep.
She drops a digital grenade, puts on a silk sleep mask, and rests peacefully while the group chat erupts into 80 new notifications. It is strategic chaos. Finally, who pretends they're above it all but secretly monitors everything?
Michelle. She leaves the chat on unread, so her status looks unbothered to anyone checking, but she is diligently reading every single preview notification on her Apple Watch while aggressively jumping a rope in her driveway.
She projects evolution, but she requires the drama to sustain her. It is a flawless behavioral profile. Okay, it is time for our final segment. Segment 4, Red Flags of the Week.
Let's do it.
We have to select our top 3 biggest behavioral red flags from the episode and rank them based on severity. Concerning, major, and absolutely catastrophic. You go first.
All right, my concerning red flag is Schwartz prioritizing a missing birthday cake over the fact his closest friends are verbally annihilating each other in a hotel suite. The emotional stunting is profound.
It's just sad.
Your friends are in a state of deep distress, and you are fixated on a pastry. It signifies a complete inability to process complex negative emotions.
It's Peter Pan syndrome combined with extreme conflict avoidance.
My major red flag is Kristen deflecting someone else's bad behavior by attacking 3 other people's drinking habits. It is a highly toxic rhetorical strategy. If someone is being held accountable, you don't just point across the room and yell, "Well, their behavior is worse."
It resolves nothing and merely expands the blast radius of the conflict. It's the reality TV equivalent of deploying a smoke bomb.
Exactly. And my catastrophic red flag, Danny going after Naya in their private room, demanding she execute her wifely duties and defend him when he is demonstrably wrong.
Oh, that was incredibly dark to watch.
The invocation of wifely duties in an argument about Instagram likes is chilling. It strips away the concept of equal partnership and reveals that he views her, on some level, as a subordinate PR shield whose primary function is to protect his reputation, regardless of the truth. It is an absolutely catastrophic display of control.
Indefensible. Okay, my rankings. My concerning red flag is Brittany feeling the need to remind everyone every 5 minutes that she isn't drinking. We understand you are attempting to prove a point, but protesting too much actually draws more suspicion.
It creates the exact opposite effect she desires.
It's a hyper-defensive tic that usually indicates underlying anxiety about how she is perceived. My major red flag is grown men hiding White Claws like adolescents hiding contraband in a basement.
It's so embarrassing.
You are an adult with a mortgage. The act of sneaking around, the physiological stress of lying to your friends' faces when they literally watched you pour it, it indicates a profound lack of structural boundaries within the group. The cover-up is always more damaging to trust than the initial action.
It forces everyone else to participate in a shared delusion, which is exhausting.
And my catastrophic red flag, Janet's weaponization of tears. We touched on this earlier, but screaming terrible things, insulting people's intelligence, smirching when they react, and then immediately sobbing to her husband on the phone that she's being gaslit.
Let's debate this. Is hiding a White Claw worse than weaponized tears?
The tears are significantly worse, because the tears manipulate the reality of everyone in the room. The White Claw is just immature, localized deception. Weaponized tears are a form of emotional manipulation that hijacks the empathy of the group. It forces the actual victims to suppress their valid anger and comfort the aggressor.
When you break it down like that, the tears are far more destructive to the ecosystem. Hiding the drink only destroys Danny's personal credibility. The tears destroy the entire group's ability to hold a shared reality.
Exactly. Which brings us to our final provocative thought for the week. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to really mull this over, Snark Squad.
Listen closely.
If reality TV is built entirely on the engine of conflict, what happens when a cast refuses to ever actually reach a resolution? Are we watching the slow, agonizing, real-time death of a genuine friend group? Or are we witnessing the birth of a perfectly sustainable, infinitely toxic Bravo ecosystem where the lack of resolution is the product?
That is the ultimate paradox. Because if they resolve their issues and find peace, the show loses its narrative engine. But if they never resolve them, their interpersonal relationships decay into nothingness. It is a beautiful, terrible catch-22.
We want to hear your thoughts on this. Which cast members' psychological defense mechanisms are you defending this week? Let us know in the comments.
And stepping outside the chaos, what is the absolute best culinary experience you've had recently? We need your Venezuelan recommendations or whatever flavor profiles are changing your life right now.
Have you ever experienced lexical interference and accidentally spoken the wrong language while ordering food under pressure? Please validate the Italian spiral so we know it's a universal cognitive glitch.
I am genuinely seeking solidarity on that one. I need to know I'm not alone. And finally, what is the last completely random 3-hour TikTok spiral the algorithm trapped you in?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the mess, babes. Be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this analysis with another messy babe who loves dissecting human behavior just as much as you do.
Stay messy, stay hydrated, and we'll see you on the Snark side.